Hello, we should be live. Welcome to Talking Investing. Green
Morning.
day.
No, green?
Today was green for the Bitcoin miners in particular. Big bit. So this is a special edition live stream on account of the fact that we have one good day, so I'm not going to waste it.
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls.
Hello to Barry, Steven, JD, Scott, Brent.
I have to send this one email out. I'm trying to save money on my car insurance because it just seems like it's so much freaking money. Does anybody else see the prices of everything going up, or is it just me? I think people are fools if they don't at least try to go to another company and save money.
Yeah.
You know? That's
Yeah,
all
you gotta
part
check
of,
your rate.
can you do any better?
That's, well, we got to tell the people about that. Miguel, hello. Darren, this was fun today, says
Miguel.
Darren. Yes.
It's
This
been
was
a long
fun.
day. It's been a long time coming.
Scott wants you to move your camera down so that we can see
I'm
you.
sorry. I'm not even like thinking that yet. I'm almost done. I'm like one of those boomers who can only do one thing at a time.
Stephen
I'm
English
so-
said it's just you, George. Inflation is transitory. We all know
Yeah.
that. We were told that
It is. It
by
is. Thank
everybody for many months.
They raised my car insurance over $10,000
Hey, Pablo. Welcome.
That-
Welcome to the stream.
with no accidents, no speeding tickets, no moving violations.
Yeah, that's not
Just
just one car,
kid.
though.
Well, it's just a couple, but it's not, I mean, it's nothing big. And then I don't have a ton of insurance. Okay, how's that? Is that any better? Hey, let me look.
Oh, you're in. You're in screen now. You're
Sorry.
George is here.
Dude, just be glad they don't have smell-o-vision yet.
Oh, brother.
If you had smell-o-vision right now, it would be not good.
We'd have to kick you off the stream.
No, yeah, because I worked out, and I was like, I haven't, sorry. So Tom,
Well, thanks for sharing. I know everybody was wondering
So
that.
okay, I have David from Israel. Hello.
Hello,
Lahaim?
David.
Lahaim. No, that's that's German.
No, that's not
Is
German.
Lahaim German or Lahaim?
Kyle,
mean,
hello.
That might mean hello, right?
I think that's for life, something to that effect.
Oh, for life.
Life.
Lahaim. Okay. Tom,
That's, yes.
tell me if Bitcoin's going to go up or down. Is this going to stay?
Yes.
Is this going to stay?
I think we got, so my initial knee-jerk reaction to today is a few things. I think we broke through a massive line of resistance.
Stop.
Wait for it.
Tom, someone's actually saying, thanks, Tom. You made money for somebody on HUT. He bought it at 86 cents.
Oh,
He said,
nice. Skull splitter.
Skull splitter.
That's how you get it done.
Is he in WWE? Like a wrestler?
That might be. I don't know.
Skull splitter. And now, skull splitter. Sorry. So anyways, where are we going?
Hello, Garrett. So I think we got a window of opportunity. This was Monday. We got Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday morning is CPI. So I think that's the potential whammy that sits out there. So I definitely want to go through. I got that tab open. I want to go through that later because I think that's going to dictate whether or not this has legs or we get the legs cut out from under it and go back down to where we came from. So I'm not calling, I believe it or not, I'm not calling for a relief rally yet, even though we broke through this line of resistance we've been talking about for 5 or 6 weeks now.
Is this the first time?
This is this weekend we broke above it and we have stayed every single, let me go So, I mean, you can see, like, look at all these are 4-hour candles under the line, every single one under the line. And then once we got over it, every single one over the line. And now we've had to move to the upside. So, like, you couldn't draw this out more technically. The question is, we've been fooled, or should I say I've been fooled.
We've been
too many times. But you can see on this the main point that I want to make right away is, and I've been saying this in like my last 6 or 7 videos because I think is absolutely critical. We're going to see days, this is like, today we had a 23% move. Let's see, 23%, 16%, 16%, 19.8%, so 20% for Marathon. I mean, 15% almost for Riot. 19% for Cypher, 22%. Gree was 37%. At one point, that was up over 50% on the day.
Wow.
This is going to be this is what's going on. So they're not all necessarily going to be green like this, but we have had pretty much every single day, we've had 2 or 3 or 4 Bitcoin miners make a 20+% move on the day. And obviously today, we've got a lot more than that. It was really most of them. Almost all of them were double digits. I mean, your underperformers were Argo Blockchain, but that has been on the run. We'll look at that. Argo Blockchain is up astronomically in the last week. So they took a sideways day today. Okay. They're up more than any other Bitcoin miner. I don't know what's going on with CleanSpark. CleanSpark was up 5.24%. So I know we got CleanSpark fans on the stream, I imagine. I know we do on the channel. And I'm one of them. I'm not sure what the underperformance is. I know in general, over the course of a long period of time, CleanSpark did not get hit as hard as some of the other miners, but still, I mean, it's at $2.21. I would have thought it would have just kept pace with its peers today. There's only really now 5. So that's one of the things I wanted to go through. In the December results, there's really only 5 companies mining what I would call a significant amount of Bitcoin. So to go from the 5th place company in the month of December to the 6th place, it's significantly less than half. So, I mean, this is a short list, and I'm including Core Scientific because they did put out I think it was today, their results from November and December. So they hadn't been giving us their results. And so now they put all that out. So I'm not quite sure what to do with them because we do know the results. But the question is, I mean, they're in Chapter 11. I don't know what those results mean for the stock. That's a very confusing situation. And we're really just guessing, is my opinion. Let's see, Righteous Line. Hi, Tom. How high do you think Hut 8 can go in a bull market? Thanks. I mean, I don't know what the answer. I don't think we're in a bull market yet. I think we're a long way from calling a bull market. I do think that we could have we just broke resistance that was serious resistance. So I do think we got some lines here we can pay attention to. One at around 17,500, 18,001 or 200. But really, that's the one I'm looking for. If we could get up to 19 on this run, that'd be a huge run up. And you can see, look at what just these small moves are doing. If I go back to...
I know you don't have it, but can you put Core X on? Or no, you don't want to?
Oh, on the list?
Yeah.
I did, and it took it off. I don't know why it did that.
Oh, I did. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Well, hold on. Maybe it's right here, and I'm just...
down below or something?
There we go. Can you see it now, or is there a part of the... Oh, the way we have the screen set up,
hey,
there's a bunch that we can't see.
I used it all, didn't I?
How do I switch that?
Oh.
I don't know. So on the screen, it looks like the list ends at Mawson, but underneath that, DigiHost was up 16%, Any was up 6%, and Core Scientific was up 22.86%. So, but it's up 22.8% up to 8.6 cents. And this is why I'm saying we're going to keep getting volatile moves. Forget the fact that that's 8.6 cents. The market cap is tiny. All of these, not all of them, but most of these companies now are under $50 million. A lot of them are under $20 million market cap. That is a small nano cap stock. So that's why I believe we're going to see this is how small nano cap stocks act. Oh, it's a good Bitcoin was up 2% today, GRE's up 37.9%. You know, that's obviously a disproportionate move, and it's not on any news or anything. In fact, you know, I have deep concerns about GRE. They're on my list of miners that I think are going to run into. No, not true. I don't think. They filed this with the SEC. They are basically, so I'm just going to give you the highlights. This paragraph said they owed $1 million on December 31st on one of their loans, on their NYDIG loan, and they couldn't afford to pay it. So they agreed to not put them in default until January 10th, which is tomorrow. So they're already behind $1 million on this. And then the next paragraph, on their B. Riley loan, I think it's $1.5 million they're behind. So that's December's payments. So, and they got until January 16th to pay that. So to me, this is a company, the last thing they told us is they're in deep trouble. They're already looking into Chapter 11. And yet, with that being the latest and greatest news, they are up 37.9%.
It's nice to see, isn't it? It's just nice to hear this.
It's a beautiful board. I don't know why, you know, if TradingView would have chose, Argo is up 0.00, but they chose to put it in red for some reason. Otherwise, it would have just been a clean sweep, all green.
Wow.
So our worst performer today was 0%. Nobody was down on the day. MicroStrategy was up 9%. I mean, that's a big move for that company.
Well, it's nice to finally, it feels like a little vindication. That's the word I want to use.
I agree. I mean, I think this is some amount of catching up because as Bitcoin, I'm going to go out to the 1 day because, I mean, you guys remember, Bitcoin, really, this was the FTX crash these 2 days. So we bounced around a little, but really, since then, and that was 2 months ago to the day today, Bitcoin's been absolutely sideways, but the Bitcoin miners have gotten wrecked in that same period of time.
Okay, I have to ask, because everybody is asking this question if I was thinking about it. Number one, what happens when Tether explodes, and what happens when Binance explodes? They're going to explode. I mean, it's just a matter of when.
I mean,
is it going to be another drop like that, you think, or no? Or do you think this one was just a special drop?
I think it won't be a drop like this. Because I think a part of this drop was realizing that all of these exchanges are vulnerable. We don't know what's in them. And I think that's the market priced in. You know, it will still be a very bad event. Let's say if Binance were to go under, that's a huge event. But to a certain extent, that is priced into this right here you see in Bitcoin, this massive, you know, bottom and then a retest, you know, 10 days later or whenever it was.
Do you know if exchanges have personally changed the way they do business and now are kind of doing market to market with Bitcoin? And you know what I mean by market to market?
They're
like actually buying and storing the Bitcoin instead of saying, oh, we got it over there in his account.
Well, that's the unanswerable question because these things, I call them a black box because we don't know. We don't know. We don't know unless they, first of all, they're not required to disclose right now. There's no regulations surrounding this. So that's a part of why this is kind of, you know, that's a big part of Bitcoin's suppression is there are some things that are totally unregulated. And then we've seen some people abuse the exchanges in particular, and for those of you who have been on the channel for a while, you'll know that I've been saying for 6 or 7 or 8 months, we need regulations on the exchanges and on the stable coins. If they just do those two things, to me, that fixes the crypto universe.
And what do you mean by regulations? What do you want to see?
It would be my opinion that the rule should be that each of these exchanges should have to safeguard their customers' coins.
Do you think there should be something like the FDIC?
I mean,
call it the CDIC?
You know, Binance tried to have like a Binance fund to bail things out but no, I don't think so. I think these are not FDIC insured. They're not, and neither are stocks. I mean,
no, but when I'm saying should they be, I mean, if they're going to treat them as a commodity, or
I don't think they should be, but what I do think is we should have the transparency where when we know they have to report a proper audit and report the amount of cryptocurrency that they hold in custody for their customers and the amount that they have safeguarded. That's separate from their other monies, because that's what we're finding is they're basically just, you know, a lot of these companies are borrowing, if you will, but, you know, borrow only to never give it back. They're borrowing.
You see me?
Yes, exactly. That's the truth. So, you know, they borrow the money and they never, and then they go under. So you don't get it back. So, you know, that's.
Do you remember when somebody asked us on stream, do you stake any of these cryptos? And Tom, remember, we're like, we don't know how, because it's like they're paying these unbelievable returns, right? We're like, we don't know how, but people get screwed. And then whack. We don't recommend it.
There was no, like, every draw up, like, what are the red flags for a Ponzi scheme? And that was staking.
Yeah.
Now Bitcoin's moved, or I'm sorry, Ethereum has moved to proof of stake, and, you know, that's a bigger asset. There's a lot more eyes on that, and it's a little bit of a different process, and you don't make that much money from staking it. The staking that was obvious was all of these smaller exchanges offering outrageous return rates for staking anything and everything. So it's not sustainable. I mean, where does that money come from? You know, it never made sense. And if it doesn't make sense, I mean, George and I have always said, no, staking is a no-go. Now, I will say Ethereum is the exception, and there may be a few other exceptions that you guys know about, but
there is one other one.
If you're getting
XRP,
if you're getting 10% return on your money's probably already gone, in my opinion.
Well, you mean not annualized? You're saying daily.
No, I'm saying if you get a
10%,
yeah, if you get a 10% rate return for the year, your money's probably already gone.
I think, Tom, they were a lot more than that. I think there was like a lockup period for 90 days or something like that. Well, the reason why Binance scares me is they're doing something like that right now as we speak.
They're offering a big.
Yeah, it's a lot more than 10%.
Is it just a bonus, or is it a rate of return that you're going to continue to get?
It's a rate of return you're going to continue to get.
Should we try to find out? I can look.
Well, you keep going on. I'll find it for you.
So, Crypto Golfer is saying cash and stable coins on an exchange should absolutely be FDIC or SDIC insured. So, that's a fair point. The cash and the stable coins are the things I'm worried about. I'm saying your investments beyond that, you know, nothing else is. If you're going to invest, then you do so at your own risk. So yes, I agree. Cash should be cash, so that could end up being FDIC insured. The stable coins, if we have the proper regulations to make sure they're pegged to, you know, most of the stable coins are pegged to the dollar. You know, there's $100 billion worth of stable coins pegged to the U.S. dollar, and so they should have to prove that. And really, I don't understand why they would have to buy anything other than U.S. dollars, because if you buy something other than U.S. dollars, you run a risk of losing your peg. It's just that simple. Even if you're buying treasury notes, super low risk things, you run the risk of losing your peg, because even with notes, when bonds and that kind of stuff, if there's a run and you got to turn those in, you could lose money on those, right? So then that's
What about the British pound?
If there's a stable coin and they want to peg themselves to the British pound, that's fine too. Whatever you're pegged to is what you should hold. If you're pegged to the euro, you should hold the euro. If you're pegged to the US dollar, you should hold dollars. That's my opinion.
So you're saying gold?
Gold.
I'm serious. I'm not being. I think that's a great idea to have the stable coin backed by gold. By the way, there's a lot of coins moving that way right now.
If your stable coin is backed by gold, then you have to hold gold.
Right.
Right, but now you're pegged to gold, but there's risk in gold, but there's not risk in losing your peg as a stable coin if you have the gold to back up your supply.
Right.
So yeah, whatever they choose to be.
What about oil?
Make
it back to the petrodollar.
I think that would be a bad
just
call.
Being funny. Okay, here it is. Staking. Earn rewards. Staking. 16%. Earn up to 16%.
Yeah, that's a bad.
That's staking your Binance. 2.7 with Binance. Poly 7.3.
What are they offering 16% on?
16% Cosmo.
Cosmo.
ATOM.
Atom. Right. So.
Oh, is Adam in the stream?
That's a.
Sorry.
To me, that's a red flag. It just is. Right? There's no. Where are they? How are they getting the 16%? And that's just them breaking even on the transaction. Where's that money coming from? There's no other asset out there where you can reliably get that, so they're just counting on the value of that coin increasing. Or creating more coins, or whatever the other Ponzi scheme-esque type things that people do.
In 30 days, they're up 11%. Cosmo.
I mean,
they have a market cap of $2.6 billion. That
puts them in the, is that in the top 20? It's probably pretty darn close if it isn't.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Everybody remember to smash the like button, please. It helps out the stream and the channel a lot. Appreciate it. We were doing great. We had almost as many likes as we had people waiting when the stream opened. So thank you to everybody. So just a reminder.
You should just say it right in the beginning, because I don't even do it.
I know you don't think about it, but it makes a difference. If the more likes this gets, the more people that it shows this live stream to come and join us and join the conversation. So that's why I ask.
JD says you can make 10% by selling puts on Marathon a year.
Yeah, they're getting back to Marathon and Riot. Selling puts and calls used to be and they have always had a very high level of volatility built into them. So you can make really good money on that. I agree with that.
By the way, Bitcoin didn't hold.
It didn't.
What's your line? What's your line?
Oh, it's way above the line. Let me go to.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I thought your line was at 17,250. Was the next
16,875.
Oh, is it? Oh.
And we did not yet get to 17,567. But I mean, you can see this is the line. Forget this orange line. That was Friday. So that's where Bitcoin was when the U.S. markets closed on Friday. All weekend, you could see we were going just sideways, but we had just crossed over the line. So we went from 15 4-hour candles in a row under the line to 15 or 20 over the line, and there was not one invariance. So this is a really strong line of what was resistance and now support, in my opinion. That doesn't mean it's going to hold, but it is a strong line. Bad CPI number. I think this line doesn't hold. And we go back.
What do you think is bad? What's the number that's bad?
So this is right now consensus. See, this is crazy. We've been moving in the right. This 7.7 and this 7.1. Remember, we had a good reaction to, but now consensus they're expecting for December 6.5. So my concern is they're setting the bar very high. That would be a really encouraging number. But now that it's the consensus and the expectation, if we come in at 6.8, then December was better than November, but we missed consensus. And we'll probably dump on that. So we got to be at 6.5 or better, in my opinion, or else I feel like there's going to be, a downturn in the market. For some short period of time anyway, because, the Fed's going to do what it's going to do. People should not be as fixated on this as they were, other than the fact that we do need to see inflation get under control, because these are all bad numbers, every one of these numbers on the page, so.
I should have kept the golf course.
No, you should not have kept
No, I should have. I was thinking about it. I should have, because I should have made a crypto to finish it. It would have been good.
Oh, you could have pegged a crypto to your... No.
Every time somebody paid, you get staking.
Yeah, but remember what a pain in the neck that was?
Yeah, it was. I know it was.
It's easy to want that now that you don't have to do any of the work with it. Mike Robinson says, "Hi, guys. Good to see you move to the upside." Hey, Mike. Agreed. Today's one of the days we're looking for. But one day is not a rally. But it's a good start.
Did the Dow Jones finish up?
Today was green. Let's go look at the final numbers. So the NASDAQ was green, but look at what happened. The Dow, everything did slip throughout the day.
You know what you should have put on the stream? You should have put on the stream, we go Bulldogs. You would have got a lot more people on the stream. It would have been, yeah!
That would have made a lot of people happy, but some people...
Bulldog, Georgia's going to win! Texas, what are they playing? Texas Christian University?
TCU.
TCU? No,
for the...
Did anybody
college
know who
national
TCU was before this?
Yes, they're a good program. It's not... Sorry, they're not... I'm not even going to go there. Then I'll make tens of millions of people angry, but...
Or 5.
Phone book's on, said, smash the like button.
So, okay, Tom.
Thank you for the reiteration of that.
When will we consider this a rally?
I'm going to consider, so for me, I'm going to consider this a rally if it gets, even if we get
recovery. How about a recovery? How about that word?
When have we turned from a relief rally to a recovery, and we're now bullish?
Yes.
We have many stops along the way before we can.
What's the number? 25,000, 22,000?
I think by 25,000 it's possible we could start to, what we need to see, I'm going to go to the 1 day. Man, you almost have to go to the 1 week, but let me just. So you can see, these arrows make it clear.
Welcome to Talking Investing.
Hey, welcome. Phone book's on member for 4 months. I think maybe just renewed his membership. I don't know. Join the membership. It's $5. That's, this is a comment.
7 shares of it.
It's $5. That's 1/2 of a Chipotle burrito, 3/4 of a cappuccino from Starbucks, 7 shares of Bitfarms, etc. Yeah, we'd love to have you guys on the. Ask the members. I think we have a lot of fun, and we do once a week. We pick a video that I do a deep dive on.
What did you do your last video on? Do you remember?
The last video was on STEM. We have a bunch of videos now, so if you join now, there's a bunch already built up in there. We're doing tokens.com, which is stock ticker Smurf, and that is on tomorrow's members-only stream. I'm not sure the members are going to love my opinion of that stock, although it should come as no huge surprise. There's some good, and there's some question marks I have on that one, but I don't want to give any spoilers. That's tomorrow after the market closes, the members only live stream. Steve, hello, Steve. Hut to the moon, said Mike Robinson. Welcome, Jeff. So a Monday stream. You're not lost. We had a good day. So I'm having a stream while it happens. I want to have a stream on a good day for once. You know, we have our set streams. And Friday, one of them's Friday. And usually Friday's a red day. Like at least in the year 2022, Friday was a red day. I would say more than 75% of the time. So I'm sick of all these red days. We had a giant green day today. I just put this board back up. I don't know how to get the rest of this. You know how I can do it is just scroll. So the ones down here, you can see the bottom. So the bottom. MicroStrategy was up 9%. DMG's been on fire. And I'm going to go into that chart right now. I just sidetracked myself. A bunch of people asked me to do a DMG video, and before I got to it, it just went on fire. So, but you can see, I mean, that's the problem with these. They took such a beating in December. We're just right back where we started, and this is about 1 month ago. But having said that, from the bottom to the top, well, this was 67%. And now it's up 57%. So, but a lot of these Bitcoin miners are up between 50 and 100% over the last, in the year 20, where it's January 9th. And a lot of these are up 50, 60, 70, 80% already. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to stay that way, but this was what I said coming into this year, my year end, my 2023 kind of change in strategy. And I executed that today. So I bought some options for Bitfarms when things were really, really low, and I sold some of them today. So my shares I hold and I keep. I'm a buy and hold person, but I can't go another year sideways and I think, until further notice, we are in a highly volatile market. So, the options are for the not financial advice, please be careful trading options because they expire. And if they expire out of the money, they're worth zero and you lost all your money. So, for those of you who know, I know a lot of you guys do complicated stuff with options. If you're a beginner, walk before you run, please, because they're dangerous. But on a day like today, when a stock is up 20%, imagine what the option is up. So I had some options that I was up 150% on, and I just took them. I just took it. And if the stock goes up again tomorrow, I'm okay with that because I didn't sell any of my shares of my stock. So that's how I'm going to be playing the first quarter to the first half of 2023 until we see a confirmed switch back to a bull run. And like I said, I think we're a long time away. So what we got sidetracked was, you can see these are lower highs, lower highs, lower highs,
Tom,
lower lows.
I got to tell you something real quick.
Fire away.
The 10K challenge is back over $2,000.
We're back.
I'm just letting you guys know. I mean, we haven't done anything. We haven't changed anything.
Well, we're Bitcoin miner heavy, and the rest of them are small cap high growth, which they've done decent so far, but not like the Bitcoin miners. It is the Bitcoin miners' turn with this massive volatility, and I think we're just getting going. But remember, volatility goes both ways. So Scott says rally equals above 20K. I'll go along with that. We could call that a rally. I mean, that's definitely a rally, but is it a relief rally that we're going to turn back around? In order to set a higher high, we got to get back here to about 21,500. So, that would be the first step in a series of steps where we could say potentially we're moving towards a bull market. If we get back to 20,000, that would be a great relief rally, but let's just look at what percent that would be from the bottom. If we go to 20,000. So, yeah, that'd be a 30% rally from the bottom. So, that's an excellent relief rally. And there's a line right there. This is the 2017 peak. So, this line goes way back to 2017. So, that would be awesome. I think probably most of you guys would be happy if we could run back up to that in the short term, and then we'll see what happens from there. Let's see. Let's do a quick poll. Who thinks we're getting there? All right, simple poll, yes or no. Bitcoin to 20K on this, that's on this rally right here. So essentially that means in January. Is Bitcoin getting to 20 grand in January? What do we think?
I don't know. That's an interesting one.
You can cast your vote. Grill is saying Jerome Powell's going to speak in Sweden. I hope it will not tank the market. He is still hawkish. He is hawkish, and you're right. And every time he speaks, I shouldn't say every time. It's either a nothing or bad, typically, when he's speaking. But the thing is, I'm getting frustrated with that for the following reason. He's been saying the exact same thing for many, many, many months. And if you watch all of my videos right before the Fed meeting, he says exactly what I say he's going to say, but that's not because I'm smart. It's because he's already said it 100 times. So I'm just saying, here's what he just told us like 5 days ago. So why would he tell us something different tomorrow? So I think you're going to hear the same talking points. The Fed is going to continue to say they're not going to lower rates in the year 2023. They've said that 10 times now. So I don't see any reason why they would change that talking point, at least for the next 3 or 4 months. If we get some back-to-back-to-back CPI numbers that are game changers, then he can start changing his talking points. But in the meantime, we know what he's going to say.
What is he going to say, Tom?
He's going to say it's by far a larger risk to not get inflation under control. We can always lower rates in the future. So the biggest risk is not getting inflation under control. So we're going to continue to raise interest rates, and we're not even considering lowering interest rates for the year 2023. So he's going to say something plus or minus of those words.
I forgot. Garrett said something earlier, and I forgot what company it was. But somebody went above $1 today. And how long do they have to stay above $1 before
10 trading days. So if they go above for 10 trading days, they get to set the reset button. And then they have to be below, I think, for 30 trading days.
Before they get another letter?
Before they get another 180-day letter. So the clock totally... And I'm going to show you guys, a lot of people are like, well, that doesn't happen. These Bitcoin miners are different. You know, a lot of stocks, by the time they go under $1 and they get their notice from the NASDAQ, it's because their business has failed and they're on the way to going out of business. That's not what's happening with these Bitcoin miners. You know, some of these, I'll give you a for instance. You know, Hut went under $1. No, let me give you a real example of one that just, you know, by the time Argo Blockchain got their letter in the mail, they were back over $1, and it wasn't close because they were down to 36 cents on December 16th. And now they're way over $1. So this is what can happen with these stocks. They got one positive catalyst. Essentially, they put something out that said, we're not immediately going out of business. And the stock ran up from the bottom to the top over 400%. That's in 3 weeks. So I know a lot of people are always like, oh, your price, you talk about prices and it's ridiculous and it's absurd. And these stocks, if and when Bitcoin recovers, for the companies that make it through, there's going to be 20Xs, 50Xs, maybe 100Xs. I know that sounds like madness, but it's already happened inside of the Bitcoin mining space before in the last bull market. So it's not even like I'm saying something new is going to happen. This is just how it goes. I mean, you guys can see. Let me show you a chart. So this is how the Bitcoin miners. This was their performance from January 1st to December 31st, 2022. So down 99%, down 98%. Gree was down 98%. Mawson was down 97%. Stronghold 96%. TerraWolf 96%. Oh, and then we get a big jump. Iris Energy was down 92%. I mean, you know how much you got to do just to get back to where you were when you're down 92%? And you can see almost all the rest of them are, 88 to 92% is the majority. And that's not from their highs. That's just from January 1st, 2022. And they were all already down a bunch by that point. So these are we just lived the nightmare. This is the nightmare. Look at this chart. Take a picture. This is the nightmare. We just lived it. Is there more to come? Are we at the end of it? I don't know when the end comes, but this is the downside of these are a leveraged trade on a highly volatile asset. So we just got pummeled. If and when this turns around, you're going to see the opposite. In my opinion, and based on historical, obviously nothing's guaranteed. There's no guarantee Bitcoin's going to turn around, but I am bullish on Bitcoin. And if you're bullish on Bitcoin, it's just a matter of time frame. Like I know even for George, he's long-term bullish on Bitcoin, but I know George is very worried that we are not at the bottom yet. Don't let me speak for you, George. Am I correct?
No, you're right. You're right. I don't think we're at the bottom. I was wrong once.
Well, not really.
But I have a question. I think the miners might have already hit the bottom. That's a different story.
Right. Looking at this chart and then looking at the moves on days where... So I'm just going to go to... Where's the... Okay, so this is where we closed on Friday. So for the Bitcoin miners, this is where Bitcoin was when we closed on Friday. So from that point until the close today, we were up 1.68%. So a 1.68% move in Bitcoin to the upside right now is, for the two largest companies, is a 20% move and a 14% move to the upside. So, and, Bitfarms 23, HUT 17. So you can see any pressure, and particularly there's also a reason. It's because we crossed over this line. And it started on Friday. This was the 1% everybody was looking for. Now, every 1% we get, you might expect moves like this, especially when we cross certain points. So, having said that, if CPI numbers are bad, boom, you can expect probably...
Boom, baby.
It's by no means out of the question that we revisit our lows. I mean, this is the chart. So I feel like this was a very solid double bottom, right? We crashed. We absolutely crashed. We were on a nice run going into the FTX situation, and then we just crashed. So since then, we have stabilized, in my opinion. To George's point, what if we find out tomorrow that Binance has a big problem? So that was like a 27.5% move to the downside in just a few days. It was to a new low for Bitcoin, a new 2-year low down to, the 15,000 and change. And then we retested that on the 21st, and it's been You know, we haven't been anywhere near that neighborhood since then. What we have been is gravitating either just above or just below this line. So this has been the key line. And, you know, I have it at 16,875. Some people might have that line at 16,900 or 17,000. Somewhere right in there is the key line of support. Not everybody's chart is going to be identical, you know, line by line. What?
I'm just reading some of the comments, but I'm not going to respond to them. So
What's
funny.
happening?
Hey, look at that! 60% say Bitcoin will hit 20,000 this month, and 41% says no.
All right, we're getting some good amount of voting.
Yeah,
Nice.
Oh, 57, 40, almost. It's almost 50-50. Wow. Who's gonna be right?
Thank you, everybody. We have 39 likes. Anybody who hasn't smashed the like button, I would appreciate it greatly. It helps the stream, as you can see. Welcome to the stream, anybody who just got here.
Tom, one of the things we haven't talked about is what about all the other cryptos, like Ethereum and Cardano, and the other guys. I mean, do you think that everybody's out of the woods right now, or do you see things?
They are not all created equal.
Oh, okay.
I think that just like the Bitcoin miners, all these Bitcoin miners aren't created equal. I still have a list of 6 Bitcoin miners that I have big concerns about. One of them was up 37.9% today. So for me, you know, and this is just my opinion, I think GREE has a big liquidity problem. And one of the reasons I think that is because they put out an SEC filing that said we have a big liquidity problem. So
that was a sign. Here's your sign.
That was my first clue. So they're not for the fact that the banks chose to waive the defaults. They're already in default of their 2 main loans. And this is what causes companies to go Chapter 11. So they got a 1-month reprieve. And, you know, they're $2.5 million behind. This is only like a $20 million market cap company. They may be $5 million behind on their principal and interest payments by the end of this month.
Would you buy them now or no?
They were up 37.9% today. I would not buy this. I would not. Ordinarily, I would say, wow, you know, this is a great short, but we're in too much of a vicious run right now. So this could go a lot higher before, you know, on the 10th, one of their 2 loans goes into default again. So they're going to have to get another waiver. And the 10th is tomorrow.
Is it a different loan?
No, they have 2 main loans, each one of which they went into default in December, except for the fact that both of the lenders agreed to waive the default and push off the payments for 1 month.
But
that is not a solution to the problem. That's just a...
Are the lenders in the United States?
Yes.
Ooh.
It's B. Riley, it's NYDIG. I mean, it's the usual suspects, and these guys are all deeply entrenched in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, so they're in the space. But at some point, I mean...
So, like, what type of payments are they? Should we let them borrow some money, or...
What? No, because they need $2.5 million just to catch up for December.
Oh, so they're going to need another $2.5 million this month?
Right.
So that's $5 million?
That's $5 million. And
so they're going. They're going.
I don't know what's... The market disagrees. They're up 37.9% today. But this could have just been, you know, they were probably heavily shorted, and some people decided, you know what, Bitcoin's making a move. Let's just cover our shorts and get out, and you get this type of spike. So I don't know which of these stocks just spiked up due to people starting to maybe cover their shorts, and which ones because, you know, people gained confidence. And I think we got to wait and see. So I think we got to wait the rest of the week. I think this bullish momentum is going to continue up and until the CPI report, and then that could switch the momentum back the other way, big time. And like I said, for me, let me find the consensus expectation is 6.5%. December was 7.1%, and that was, you know, relatively speaking, that was phenomenal. So now to have the expectation at 6.5%, it's going to be tough to beat expectations. And we need to at least match this, if not beat it, in order to, keep a rally going. So if this comes
So
in at
how? I have a question. How do they get out of the hock that they're in? What are the? I mean, you're the accountant, dude. I mean, what they just gotta get another loan to finance the payments now?
I mean, now that they're in debt, they have to cash flow in some way. They have 3 ways they can cash flow. They can get new debt, 4. They can restructure their existing debt. They can get new debt, but who's going to loan them money right now? And the other 2 ways are they can sell the Bitcoin they mine, but they're not mining very many Bitcoin.
What are they mining right now? Do you know?
Oh man, I think it was 130 something. I'll look it
up.
up.
Terrible. 130? That's not bad.
At Bitcoin 16,000, that's not paying your loans back. Let me go get the actual number because
I'm just curious to see how like Core Scientific and then Greenidge how they how come they do this big like almost 40% pop in one day, and I always feel like I missed it, and I'm like, how come I'm the idiot that's out of it? You know what I mean?
I don't know why this is taking a second to load. I mean, you don't know. These could pop again tomorrow. But I would look more at the ones that had a smaller portion of the run today. If tomorrow's another good day, maybe they'll catch up. Otherwise, they could continue. I don't know if they disclosed.
Uh-oh.
Well, let's see, because
they have
I thought
467 employees full time. Wow.
I mean, here's $74 million of debt on a company
24.
That's a $24 million market cap. And the problem is they're out of liquidity. Here, there remains uncertainty regarding Greenidge's financial condition and substantial doubt about its ability to continue as a going concern. So, I mean, it's not going out on a limb to say that you should be nervous this company's going to file for Chapter 11. In fact, I really think they talked about it in this release.
So would people, so like tomorrow morning you could wake up and they could be filed bankruptcy?
Yes,
and then
here's
you lost your 54 cents.
Here's this bullet point. Greenidge Board of Directors has engaged in active discussions about the potential for and timing of a voluntary bankruptcy filing. So, I mean, they put out a press release and filed it with the SEC. They're not joking around. They're out of money. That doesn't mean it's 100%, but this is the same, they're walking the same path that Core Scientific walked, except obviously Core Scientific was on a much grander scale. I mean, Core Scientific mined I think it was 1,000, I got the number over here, 1,435 Bitcoin in December. So
isn't that crazy?
They're a machine.
The largest company is the one that has filed bankruptcy. I mean, right? Aren't they produce more than anybody?
Yeah, they're by far the number one Bitcoin miner of all the publicly traded Bitcoin miners from a production standpoint. They also host a significant amount, or did, they're turning some of that off, but they're still mining because and that's why they did a voluntary Chapter 11, because they get a reprieve. They can leave all their machines on, they can keep mining Bitcoin, and in the event that Bitcoin has a big run, that could be one of the things that helps, these companies get out of their problem. I don't expect a run of that size anytime soon, but, the more time they can buy, the more chance that they can make it. But once they've filed for Chapter 11 reorganization, the question becomes, is there any money left over for shareholders? Because a lot of times the answer to that is zero.
Yeah, there's no money left.
So
over.
now it's total. Now to buy Core Scientific stock is purely speculative.
So if you bought it before it was the X, because now it's CORTX, right?
Q, yes.
Q. So if you bought it before, does that mean you no longer have those shares?
No, you now have Q shares.
You do have Q shares. So you could sell the Q shares.
That's right. Okay. And if you had held your shares, they went up 22.8% today. So it's still a stock that's going to trade up and down. It's just the question is when they
how long can they in bankruptcy, Tom?
I got to look that up. I think it's 90 days, but that's
it.
But don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think it's Chapter 11 is a long period of time. The point is to make a quick plan show that you have viability left, and if we do X, Y, Z, and the lenders and whoever the case may be, anybody invested agrees to that, then you come out the other end. But sometimes there's just nothing left for the shareholders in order to pay because remember, they have accounts payable, accrued expenses. Those people are ahead of shareholders.
They're still at 32 million.
And remember, they're mining. They just mined 1,435 Bitcoins. So that cost a lot of money. In all likelihood, they probably, and I don't know this, but they may not have even paid the electric bill on that. But because they're in Chapter 11, they don't necessarily have to. So they're just racking up even more bills that are due, all of which come ahead of the investors in the equity.
So how much money would they need, you think, to stay afloat? And how much would somebody have to strike a check?
They're 100% reliant on their lenders restructuring their agreements, because they're in for $1 billion right now. So there is nobody that's going to step into this situation. It is not, unless the only way another party is going to step in is if their current lenders make significant concessions and restructure the debt they already have, which there's a pretty good chance they'll do, because something is better than nothing.
That's interesting. Very interesting, Tom. No, because it's like people, like they're up 22, almost 23% today, core. And I mean, I'm always looking at these, and I stay away from them because, like, you just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So could they turn into a SPAC again?
No.
A SPAC couldn't buy them and delist this and flip it to a SPAC?
I think SPACs are going away.
What?
I think they're going away.
Why are you dropping bombs on me like this? That was just a question about SPACs.
SPACs had such a bad year in 2022. I just can't fathom a scenario that would have been any worse. Almost every single SPAC in existence is now under $10. So $10, while it's a SPAC, a lot of them had a $10 guarantee. You could just go get your money back. Now, a lot of these are penny stocks. So there have been very few success stories, and I totally object to the whole premise of a SPAC anyway.
613 SPACs in 2021.
In 2021.
Right, it doesn't say, and then in 59 in 2019 though.
So Brent,
what it was.
Sorry to interrupt. Brent Miner Enthusiast said, I sold 90% of my core the day before they tanked. It was a very small position to get the price on my screen. I'm going to let the remaining 25 shares ride. 25%.
Live in danger.
Hey,
living on the edge. Sorry.
So 25 shares, not 25%, because he sold 90. So you got out just in the nick of time. I think I bought your shares, because if you guys remember, I made my very first purchase of cores the day before they filed for bankruptcy. And
did you really?
Yeah.
I told you they were not looking good.
Well, we all knew they were not looking good, but they were down to a number that was the risk reward on it was worth it to me. It didn't play out that way. So I got out and I just took my loss. And it was, like I said, it was my first. I don't dive into the deep end. If I'm adding a new stock that's high risk, I will average in very slowly. So,
are you still an averaging on these guys?
Well, not this week, but last week I was. Last week I averaged in and bought options. So, this week's been. We're only one day in. I did not buy anything today. I sold options today.
Oh, did you?
Yes. So
now with you, will you do any puts?
I'm looking at the puts, and so far none of them seem like they're at the right number. There's, the things. Bitfarms at 67 cents. There's 50-cent puts that. Bitfarms was under 50 cents just a couple days ago. So it's not unthinkable that, if we have bad CPI data and the 50-cent puts for January are at like 2 cents. And I think for February, they're only at like 5 cents. So I'm looking at those because just in case, we ran from Bitfarms ran. Let's look at Bitfarms.
Scott, I bought 2 candy bars at some nothing. Like I bought a 3 Musketeers and a bag of M&Ms. And it was $5.35. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's
And
insanity.
I just said this. Not my Joe. That's what I said.
Bitfarms was down to 38 cents.
Was that the low?
That was the low. So they're up even after. Well, this is the 4 hour because really this would be a big. Let's go to the 1 day. Same results, obviously. But so just from a couple weeks ago to the close today, they're up 78%. At the high today, they were up 98% from their low from less than 2 weeks ago. So
Wow.
This is basically, if you timed this right, you caught a double in Bitfarms. And they're,
I know who did.
but the question is, they were just here. This was 2 trading days ago. They were 52 cents. 3 trading days ago, they were as low as 43 cents. So 50-cent puts, I'm thinking about them.
50%? Maybe.
Who knows? I mean,
what are they selling for? What type of money are you going to be making?
the problem is when you're buying a 50-cent put, how much upside is there? So if I buy it for 5 cents out a month from now and the stock gets back to 40 cents or to 39 cents, then maybe my 5 cents turned into 10 cents. You're going to catch a double on that. There's not too much more than that. Then, maybe you can catch a triple if it's a disaster month for Bitfarms. Or if they file for bankruptcy out of left field and go down to 5 cents, then it would have been worth it. But, that handwriting is not on the wall, in my opinion, at all right now. But I certainly do think at any time, like the things you talked about, any other seismic event, like a Binance type of a situation, we could revisit these lows. This was at 37.6 cents. So, yeah, that could happen in the next month for all I know. So your 50-cent puts would probably be worth 15 or 16 or 17 cents at that point. From 5 cents, that's a triple, I guess. It's just not a lot of money unless you want to, I'm not going to invest a fortune in those.
I had to drive over to Miami and drive back in the same day, so that's what caused me to buy my candy. I hardly ever eat candy, right, honey?
Gary is saying marathon selling is not confirmed. I know there's a lot of talk about marathon maybe selling.
Going private?
No, not going private, but they've hodled 100% of their Bitcoin over the last 2 years. So I watched a bit of, the guy we said no to, unfortunately. Maybe, I feel bad now. He's their investor relations person. So he was having an interview with Compass, has a YouTube channel that they obviously cover Bitcoin mining, all things related. So they've been talking about potentially going to a strategy where they sell. Ideally, they were saying, 50-50 split. Sell 50%, keep 50%, and then there's been a lot of talk over the last 24 or 48 hours that it looks like they are selling it, but Gary is saying not confirmed.
What's funny is if you think about it, my strategy of selling to cover your expenses, if you would have done that when I said to do it, you would have looked like heroes, first of all. But
Core Scientific might not have gone out of business.
Yeah. There you go. Remember, because we were talking about this. It's the same thing as cost averaging into stock. It's the exact same principle.
That's exactly right. It's managing your risk to hold 100%. You're already invested 100%, and now you're holding 100% forever.
Yeah.
Now,
with
Hut 8, I like it.
Me. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people that don't like that about Hut 8, but I think they position themselves financially to be able to do that. and the risk of them having to liquidate is low. They didn't borrow against those Bitcoins. So that's the biggest factor. To the people who held all their Bitcoin and then borrowed money and put their Bitcoin up against it, when Bitcoin crashed, they had a problem. Marathon was one of those people. They just paid off a $50 million line of credit that they took at a very ill-advised time, in my opinion.
I mean, but if you think about it, that's how business works. You need revenue. You can't always rely on your stockholders to, burden the cost of your business. I think that's what was fundamentally wrong with Bitcoin miners in the beginning.
The Bitcoin miners were doubling, tripling, quadrupling down. There was FOMO. Everybody thought Bitcoin 100,000 was, inevitable a year ago.
Plan B got pregnant, I heard.
Yeah, Plan B. B did not work out.
Somebody blew their load or something? I don't know. They
I
had
have
to
no
get rid
knowledge
of Plan B. Plan B did not work. See, just so you know, nothing's 100%. Not even Plan B.
But the hype, and Plan B was a huge part of it. The hype in October and November of 2021 was through the roof. So these Bitcoin mining companies were buying machines at whatever price to be delivered 6 months or a year later. They were holding all their Bitcoin. A lot of them were all in. Some of them took a different approach. Particularly, I'll call out CleanSpark. Starting in January of 2022, so that's a year ago, they said, you know what, we're selling our Bitcoin. So they got a lot more money in the year 2022 than they would have had they held their Bitcoin and sold it all at the low, which a couple of other companies were forced to do. Jeff said, I can't wait for Mara to go away. Jeff, just for the record, Jeff does not like Marathon. He has made that absolutely, positively, perfectly clear. Both in the comments section.
So that is so funny.
This is the thing about Marathon. This is love them or hate them. And everybody, so when I do a video, everybody gets mad at me because half the people love Marathon and half the people hate Marathon. And I really don't do love or hate videos. I'm very up in the air on Marathon. I think it's a company that's made a lot of financial good decisions. They have a lot of potential, but they have no execution to date. And now it's hard to tell, if they're executing or not, because in all likelihood with Bitcoin at this price, they're self-curtailing just because the price of Bitcoin is so low. So
Tom, I got an idea. Did you say no to that guy? Flat out no to the guy at Marathon?
To their investor relations guy.
Why don't you do this? Why don't you get the investor relation and Fred? I'll let you both come on, and I'll come on with you.
Okay,
and then all four of us will do it. I think that's a great idea.
Let's do
that. That would be. I bet you they'll do that, and we'll just be, easy going.
It would just be nice to hear from them. All right, and.
That would be the last of the top 5 or 6.
Bob. Sorry, pardon the interruption.
That's okay. That would be the last of the top, 10 Bitcoin miners that you have. That's the only one you haven't done, right?
That's the only one of the major ones I have not talked to on the channel. Yes. So thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you. Why does it not say
Bob Cassidy.
Bob Cassidy, thank you for that. And I want to read your comment. Voyager Digital is 29 cents. If Binance buys their assets, what exactly will happen to Voyager stock? FYI, if anyone here is dumb enough, that's me, to keep their stock at Chase Bank. So
what's wrong with Chase Bank?
There's no clear answer to that question. It depends on what deal they strike, and it's the same. Voyager's in the same situation Core Scientific is. They've filed for a Chapter 11 reorganization, and the question is there going to be anything left? And did they protect? If they're going to make a deal with Binance, did they give some protection to their shareholders and get them either some of their money back or some, I don't know, some coins, something in exchange for that? Or is it just,
You know what we should start doing? Is paying attention. We should start going. I know how to do this. Paying attention to their actual bankruptcy hearings. Because like all this is online. You know that, right?
Right, but until they make a press release, once they go into Chapter 11, it's almost like a quiet period. You get really no news unless they choose to put information out, and they would only do that if something major happened.
Oh, they don't like say like they renegotiated this debt with this guy, or
they will when they're done. When they're done with
I thought they did it in real time.
Well, they're doing it with the chapter. They're doing it with the court system and with the attorneys in real time, and they were, you know, I'm sure they had a lot of conversations before they went into Chapter 11. Jeff saying I use Chase Bank, LOL. They're a great broker, though, Jeff said.
Who do I use? I don't know.
So, I'm sorry, to answer Bob's question, there still might be something left for shareholders there. I know I used to have them on my list. I guess I don't have them anymore. I mean, they're down astronomically.
I got to jump off in 4 minutes, by the way, guys.
All right. I did do a video like 3 days before Voyager went under saying I think Voyager's going under. So, not that that's of any use to anybody now, but I try to do, if I see a situation, you know, it's hard to pick, like George was saying, well, how do I get in on these big up moves? The up moves are very hard to see. There was no reason GREE was up 37.9%, but some of the down moves are more visible when, you know, just mathematically, they're companies like we just looked at what GREE put out. They already told us we're out of money, we're in default of both of our loans, and we're looking at filing Chapter 11. So, you know, once they've told you all that, you can't be surprised if they turn around and file for Chapter 11. And they really don't, companies don't sandbag. They're not. That's the last press release they want to have to put out. See, Mike Robinson likes Marathon. So, see, Jeff and Mike got to have a discussion with each other because...
Let's get ready to rumble. Sorry.
But they're not alone. I mean, there's people that Marathon's their absolute rock solid #1 pick, and there's people that think Marathon is a joke.
Oh, we're still going to be tomorrow, right? We're still going to be for members tomorrow?
Members only tomorrow after the market closes, yes. So
Tom just felt really good about today, so we had to do a stream today.
Yeah, you know what? We had a good day. This was a gigantic green day. I wanted to be able to talk about it and celebrate with all you guys. In case they take it away from us tomorrow. But I do think they're gonna. I feel like this continues. I feel like the rally continues, and Thursday is the day that, you know, is a decider.
We're nervous.
Well, Thursday is this CPI, and that's going to be that. That's been the thing. CPI, and really that's just an extension of what's the Fed going to do. Those are the two things that have moved the market for the last 12 months. That's it, and one really relates to the other. Those are the big movers. So with Bitcoin, obviously, some of the Bitcoin or crypto crises have moved the market lower. So to your point, George, you know, there's always that looming out there. The next crisis we don't even know about. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of that is priced in. Bitcoin is at a very low number right now. And you can see people are buying back into the Bitcoin. Clearly, there's a rotation back into the Bitcoin miners in the last 7-day trading days at least. Whether it lasts, we'll have to wait and see. Gary,
I don't know.
Gary saying,
I think it'll last.
You think it's going to last?
Till tomorrow morning.
Till tomorrow, but then it's not going to last. If my
my whole moon thing is off, so I'm just lost. We had a full moon, and now it's still going up.
Oh, yeah, it was still a full moon last night, I thought. It looked like it anyway. I don't know. It looked like it. I don't know if there's a couple days where it's like almost a full moon, so it still looks like a full moon.
It's a full moon. I'll see you guys
All right,
Merry
George,
Christmas.
thanks.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks for joining us.
See you guys.
We'll see you on tomorrow's members live stream. So Gary's saying it looks like so far CleanSpark has mined more than Marathon in the month of January. And CleanSpark actually, I think, they were very close in December. CleanSpark has had several months where they mined more than Marathon. They were almost the same. Marathon did 475 in November, and CleanSpark did 464. So they were virtually tied. And, you know, it looks like CleanSpark is, I don't know if I said the wrong companies. I'm talking about CleanSpark and Marathon. So it looks like CleanSpark's mining more than them this month, and they may mine more than them this month. I think, like I said, I think Marathon is self-curtailing in a big way. But there's some other companies that curtail and they kick energy back to the grid and they get paid big bucks for it. So, you know, Hive just came out and they said that they got over $3 million in December for giving energy back to the grid. So, you know, their Bitcoin mining number looked really bad. But when you factor in $3 million of, you know, whether they count it as revenue or a credit against their energy, whatever the case may be, you know, that was actually one of the best months they've had in a long time. If Bitcoin surges, we'll all do well, said Stephen English. That I totally agree with. I mean, that's the bottom line. As Bitcoin goes, these Bitcoin miners go. And right now, I think if Bitcoin keeps going up, we're going to get an over-leveraged move to the upside because we got such an over-leveraged move to the downside last month. So eventually these things work themselves out. So you're right. We need to hope for a Bitcoin to continue, have a nice little rally here. Darren's saying there's clearly a lot of money still sitting on the sidelines waiting to enter the miners. So, I mean, there's a lot of money on the sidelines, period. I don't know if this was money entering today or, you know, some combination of new money coming in and shorts covering. But, I mean, these were big, big moves today. So, I don't know. Did I ever? Yeah, we looked at. I mean, Argo Blockchain's up 400%. I mean, now they had some circumstances and situations that. I don't know. We have a free Johnny Depp and a free Andrew Tate comment. What's happening with Johnny Depp? I'm out of the loop. Sorry. I don't know what's going on. Waning moon, full moon was the 6th of January. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. It's a 15-minute. I just want to look at Marathon on the one day because, I mean, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trading days. So from the low 8 trading days ago to the high midday today, Marathon was up 71%, and it closed up 56%. Now, Marathon and Riot has a similar story. Those are the two largest market cap Bitcoin miners by far. Not that they're big market caps anymore. They're both under $1 billion. Marathon was in the 300. Marathon started with a 3. They were 370 million or something at their low. So, I mean, they really. So from the close today, Riot's also up 51%, and they were up as much as 62%. So, I mean, these are big moves. And, you know, most of you guys have been in this space long enough that you've paid the price on the other end on the downside. So, you know, we're due some of these days if Bitcoin keeps moving up. And for me, the key, so for me, between now and tomorrow's live stream for members, the key for me is going to be this line, this blue line right here. If we stay above this line, even if we go retest it overnight, that would actually even make me, if we can retest it and stay above, I would be even more confident in this rally. So, you know, I always hate, you know, scary to retest these lines. So I'd rather just go straight up from here. That would be even better. But if it does hold, then I feel like we have some more upside ahead. It's long overdue. Jeff is saying Merit chart makes no sense. I'm sorry. And Gary's saying the marathon chart has never made any sense. They have tons of traders, not on fundamentals. Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of the Bitcoin miners are trading on fundamentals and have not been for quite some time, because the market caps make no sense based on any type of look at the fundamentals that underlie these companies. So this is a trader's world right now. That's the volatility I'm talking about. I do think there's going to be ups and downs. Hopefully, if Bitcoin recovers, then, you know, we could have some drastic moves to the upside. Argo blockchain already had a 400% move to the upside. So just, you know, and that was because they got good news. And there's a lot of companies out there that, you know, the next news they get might be good news. And if it is, they're going to pop. So Mike is saying Marathon holds 8,133 Bitcoin. So is that, Mike Robinson, is that the amount that's unencumbered? Because I thought they held like 11 or 12,000. But I think some of them are still securing a line of credit. So let me know if I'm wrong, but that, I think when last I checked, that was the status of things. Oh, thank you, Anthony. Anthony's saying everyone smash the like button, please. 53 likes. I appreciate it to everybody. Thank you. Let's see. Ada is asking, are you afraid that most miners will have their profit and share price significantly reduced by the next halving? So I get asked this question a lot, and all I can say is in the past, and I'm bullish on Bitcoin. So that's the number one premise. The answer to that question is, are you bullish on Bitcoin? Because if you're bullish on Bitcoin, along with all of the previous halvings, Bitcoin has made a move to the upside that was so dramatically larger than the fact that the reward was cut in half. A halving is just that. The reward's going to get cut in half. So if Bitcoin doubles, that counterbalances the reward getting cut in half. But in the past, Bitcoin's done a lot more than double at these halvings. It's, 10, 20, 30, 40x over the, there's only been 3 or 4 of these things. So, I don't know that we're going to get 40x's anymore, but if Bitcoin 5x's, that is not a big move. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. They got a 4x just to get back to where they were. So, to get, it's not unthinkable for them to get to 100,000. I see a lot of people talking about their target price after the halving for Bitcoin of $200,000. So that's not necessarily my price, but I have seen several people say that. So even if Bitcoin gets back to $60,000, then that more than compensates, and these stocks should do well. Now, you've got also the network difficulty level that is a part of that equation as well. So if everybody ramps up like crazy between now and then, but so far that's not what we're seeing. I will tell you, we're seeing a lot of Bitcoin miners self-curtail their Bitcoin mining massively right now. So I'll go to that chart, but we've been sideways for quite some time. We peaked October 31st, we peaked at 316. We had this day, this was the only other day over 300, and that was just January 6th. So I don't know if that's an anomaly. That seems really high because, on December 24th, we were just about half that. So the network has been fluctuating. People are turning their machines on and off in a big way right now, depending on energy prices. And so we'll see, but you can see, it's many, many months of going sideways. So, just buying all this time of being sideways. We were at 266 in June, so that was 7 months ago. So we're pretty much sideways. We did go down from there and then up and down, but we're sideways for 7 months on the difficulty level for the network. And I think that unless Bitcoin pops, a lot of these miners are going to keep their machines on the sidelines, or a portion of them. Yes, and Anthony's saying Core Scientific had an update today. They mined 1,350 Bitcoin in November and 1,450 in December. So, and he's saying not bad for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy. But the thing is, that's the only reason they got to mine those is because they voluntarily went into Chapter 11. So essentially, that's a reprieve on having to pay your bills. So if they had to pay their bills and default on all their mortgages and all that stuff, they wouldn't have been able to stay online and mine all this. So that's what Chapter 11 reorganization is for. It gives them a chance to get out the other side. But, you know, for the rest of the Bitcoin miners that are, you know, for all I know, Core Scientific did not pay their energy bill for any of those months, or they were able to pay their energy bill because they didn't have to pay the tens of millions of dollars of principal and interest due on their loans for that period of time. So it allows them to, I mean, there's no doubt Core Scientific is the biggest miner out of all of them by far. And I at my count, there's 5 companies doing a significant amount of mining. Everybody else is in the 200s or the 100s or under 100 in a month. So, you know, if you're at 200 in a month, you know, you're not competing for the top 5. There's 5 that are close to 500. Some of which are over 500. So that's kind of the cutoff to me. 464 was 5th place in November. So we'll see what that is. No, sorry, that was December. So all of the reports are not out yet, but all of the big ones are. So in December, 5th place was 464 Bitcoin. 6th place was down in the 200s. So it's a big drop off. Cameron's asking me about Japanese Bitcoin Jasmy, and I don't know. I am not familiar. So I don't know the answer to that. Wrote it down. I'll check them out, but right now I have no prior knowledge. Wesley's asking, do you think within 3 years Hut 8 can reach $5 plus? I mean, I think that Hut 8 can reach $5 in 2023. So my answer to that would be a resounding yes. Just my opinion, but $5 is a pretty low price target if Bitcoin, you know, gets healthy at all. Anthony's saying, I think BlackRock will take them over and mine through them. I'm guessing you're talking about Core Scientific. Yeah, I mean, if BlackRock comes in and takes them over, you know, this amount of money, obviously, for them is nothing. Hello, Ray. Welcome. So if that's what happens, then, you know, $1 billion, they're basically have a $1 billion problem. And really what their problem is the cash flow, the debt service on that $1 billion. So it's not the whole $1 billion, but the debt service on a monthly basis is running them over. It didn't leave any money left for them to pay their bills anymore. So they had to go into Chapter 11. And we'll see. Maybe they'll find a way to get out and still save some money for the shareholders. I don't know. Jeff D'Agostino said BlackRock will not, in all capitals, will not buy a miner. So Gorilla is saying when Bitcoin reaches 18.5K, Core Scientific is receiving a new loan from B. Riley. I'm still bullish on them. Keep buying Core Scientific. So are they still, is B. Riley still doing that? Or because that is a proposal that was on the table that I saw before they went into bankruptcy. So just let me know, is that proposal still on the table in bankruptcy and they're already planning on restructuring that loan? I don't know the details of that. Matthew is saying when Bitcoin goes to 250K, Hut 8 will be between $80 and $120. So that's the kind of moves I'm talking about. So, you know, I don't know what the answer to that is. That's not impossible. This is what I'm saying. 25Xs, 50Xs, 100Xs. You know, when stocks are down 99%, you stand a shot at things like that happening if they survive. My concern with, I will tell you, for the most part, once a company files Chapter 11, I just cut my losses and move on, because to me, I have no ability to figure out what they look like when they come out the other side, and if there's any money left over at all. Especially when they're so tremendously behind. And that was the case with both Voyager and Core Scientific, in my opinion. So Brombo is saying BlackRock will buy more miner shares, and probably already have, but they will not buy a miner. Yeah, I mean, it's a wonder BlackRock doesn't own half of all these miners. It's a rounding error for them. It's nothing. And they've got their hands in pretty much everything, so. Barry, I know you lack faith in Tether, so I will tell you, George is deeply concerned about Tether. So he's not here to talk about that right now, but I will tell you and he's not the only one. There's a lot of rumblings about Tether, and my concern about, there's two big stable coins, and until there's more transparency with those stable coins, they're a potential problem. That's my issue. It's a question mark. It's an uncertainty. How do I know that Tether's okay? Because we don't see it. They don't get a real audit. Sometimes they put out these things, but if you read the stuff that they put out, that the quote unquote auditors come in and do, even the auditors themselves say this is not an audit. All this is doing is giving you a snapshot in time of what assets were held, and so you can, on any given day, you can rig yourself to look like anything you want. They need an actual audit. Mike saying BlackRock owns 400 million shares in Marathon Digital Holding and Riot Platforms, $400 million in shares. So yeah, those were the first two. Those were the first two publicly traded on the NASDAQ, and those were the first two BlackRock was into. And now obviously we went from 2 years ago to there's 20 or 30 of these on the NASDAQ now. Some of them are small enough I don't follow. Even a bunch of the ones that I do follow, I'm wondering, by the end of 2023, am I going to be following these stocks if they're still 10 or $12 million market caps? Those are very, very small stocks. The only reason I'm still following them, like DigiHost got down to a $10 million stock. I think it got under $10 million market cap. But you know what? DigiHost has a scenario where they could come back. They could be a $250 million stock. So that's a 25x. That's the only reason I've kept some of them. When I see them have a plan, they're adding exahash, then so far I've been leaving them around. But at some point, you guys can maybe weigh in and say, hey, we don't care about the $15 million or less market caps anymore. They're not important. Is there a price it would crash to where you would buy Tether? There is no price that it would crash to if I would buy Tether, and if it depegs in a significant way, then that would just make me even more concerned. So, the gamble is that they get their act back together and somebody steps in and they get back to their peg, but I would not take that risk. I'm not as afraid of Tether as George is, but I do think that with the stable coins, there needs to be regulation and transparency, because I can tell you the market is afraid of that. Big money is afraid of that. Institutional money is afraid of that. And until the exchanges are regulated and the stable coins are regulated, I just think the big money is on the sidelines for now. We're not going to get an ETF until that happens. There's so many catalysts that, it's a domino effect. We need that first one to fall, and I really do think it's those two regulations are the first domino in, a string of good news versus the last 18 months, which obviously or not even have been, brutal. Darren saying, I would like to see a video on any, which is Sphere 3D. So I haven't done an any video in a long time. I do like any, and they are one of the ones that I keep on my list because they do have a plan. They have a new CEO. You know, she's not new anymore, but she was not the person that got them into the trouble they got into. There was some poor decision making there. That was going to be a merger with, I think it was Griffin, and, you know, that all unraveled, and, you know, things went the wrong way for any in a very big way. I'm just going to check their market cap. I mean, their market cap is very small right now. Yeah, I mean, they're at a $19 million market cap, and this was a company, if you remember, a year ago, they put out a press release that said, we're going to get to 32.4 exahash. So they were touting themselves as being going to be the biggest Bitcoin miner by far. You know, and now they're a $19 million company. So obviously that did not go well, but they do have a new CEO and a new plan, and it seems like they're executing right now. So I would do a video on any. I'm not sure anybody would watch it other than Darren. So yeah, let me know in the comments if anybody else cares about any. Michael Anthony, which are the best to buy in order, and I need what they trade under? I mean, I can't pick that for you. It's everybody's going to have a different list based on their time frame and their risk tolerance. Those two factors decide, you know, what you're willing to invest in. So for some people with a very low risk tolerance, I think they would stay away from every single one of these Bitcoin miners. And I know that most of the market, their risk tolerance is below investing in the Bitcoin miners. So most of the market is out of these. Obviously, I'm bullish on Bitcoin, and I'm bullish on the Bitcoin miners that I like. I did do a video on my top 4, and it was really my top 8. So, I mean, if you want to know the ones I like, you can watch that video. That's my personal top 8. Whether, you know, we'll see how that plays out over the year. Because that could change. It's not the same 8 that it was a year ago. So, you know, time changes things. Life is saying no one is talking about cores. Now, Cores Q pushed into Chapter 11 by BlackRock, which will now take a massive shareholding in the restructure. I mean, that's the one piece of news that has been put out, is that the majority of the new shares are going to go to the lenders. So we know there's going to be a massive dilution. The question is there anything left after that at all? And I don't know the answer. There could be. So in Mike's opinion, it's CleanSpark, Marathon, Riot, Hut, and Bitfarms. And I would say, I mean, I don't disagree with that list. That's Mike's list, and I like his list. Right, and cores, so Life is saying you can't buy their shares easily. They're a pink sheet. They're over the counter now because they filed Chapter 11. So I think things like, I don't even think you can buy them on like Robinhood or Webull or any of those types of platforms. So that does limit. But you can see they're still capable of making big moves. I mean, they were Cores was up 22.86% today. That's a big move. Robert, welcome. Good evening. That's all right. Oh, I did want to tell everybody, I made a second channel. So for those of you who are interested, we're having, instead of having, you know, if you happen to miss a live stream, we're going to be cutting up the live streams and putting them on a separate channel, and highlights from some of our other videos. So let me just show you what that is. And I just started it, so, you know, nobody's there yet, but oops, let's go to YouTube. What did I spell it wrong? Yes, I did. All right, so it should be. Yeah, so I just started this Talking Investing highlights. So this is just a place if you miss a video or if you've fallen behind, you don't feel like watching a 2-hour live stream or whatever the case may be, we're going to put a bunch of clips and highlights on this channel. So feel free, you guys can just, and if you go to the regular channel at Talking Investing and hit the button that says channels, actually I'll just put a link to it right now for everybody. For those of you who care. How do I make a comment? I still don't know how to use this thing. All right. So that should be for anybody that cares, that wants to check out some highlights and whatnot. And hopefully we're going to do some fun stuff on this channel, you know, some Georgisms, etc. I should click through and go there. So we have 11 subscribers. So anybody who wants in on this is in on the absolute ground floor. We just started this and we only have 11 subscribers. So that's Talking Investing, stream highlights, and more. All right, let's see. Watch CNBC talking about Riot and Mara. Oh, did they do a segment on that? Is that something that happened? I mean, mostly Marathon and Riot get bashed. Let's see. Bullish on cryptocurrencies. This is Mike. Bullish on cryptocurrencies. The blockchain is the future of everything. So that's the question you got to ask yourself. I'm with you, Mike, and so is I just read somebody else that said I'm with you. If you're bullish on Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, I mean, if you think that's here to stay, then to me, this is a great way to play that. And it doesn't need to be the only way that you play it. You know, there's a lot of other ways to play the cryptocurrency universe. There's other ways to play Bitcoin than the Bitcoin miners. I choose to trade the Bitcoin miners. I think in the end, I think these have the biggest potential reward. So I'm willing to, I have a portion of my portfolio that I'm willing to put at risk in these much higher risk stocks that I think is going to pay off. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. But I'm very bullish. That's basically what Mike is saying. Like, unless you think this stuff's going away, I just don't. The future seems like it's paved with blockchain, in my opinion. And I'm not. I'm not all in on every single cryptocurrency that trades, and I'll tell you what I don't get. So for those of you that can get mad at me, I still don't get NFTs, and it's not that I don't understand what they are. It's just that I don't understand why they exist. Having said that, you could have said the same thing about Bitcoin 10 years ago. So I understand that. But to me, NFTs have died in a big way, and they never made sense to me. And I will also tell you that I'm very skeptical on the metaverse. I think there will be something in the distant future from an investing standpoint, what I would call the distant future, which means outside of a 5-year window of time. So for me, a pure play metaverse play would not be a stock that I would get anywhere near. That's just my opinion. So it's not like I'm all in on every single thing they do, but I think Bitcoin and blockchain are here to stay. I'm bullish. Amp12 just subscribed. Now I'm at 12 subscribers. Thank you, sir. Or ma'am, I don't know. Well, there's a 95% chance that you're male, according to my channel statistics. So Lucas is asking, what did CNBC say? Because Michael was saying, check out CNBC because they were talking about Riot and Marathon. So Life is saying, my take is you want some exposure to Bitcoin, get some Bitcoin. All those other investments such as miners or exchanges, actually another layer of risk above Bitcoin. So that is a fact. The Bitcoin miners are a leveraged play on Bitcoin. So whether you like them or don't like them, they are clearly a leveraged play, which increases the risk. I think that it increases the reward, and I'm willing to take that risk reward. And I know a lot of you guys are too, but I also know a lot of people that watch the channel are on the sidelines still. And they're either just direct investing straight in Bitcoin or they're waiting. And like I said, I think this is out of the vast majority of investors, this is outside of their risk tolerance. Everyone on this list. For me, I've done enough homework, if you will, that I feel like I know all these balance sheets inside and out, and I'm intimately familiar with the risk-reward equation. So, I'm okay taking the risk. It doesn't mean it's going to pay off, though. I don't know what that is. Every once in a while, words appear. Maybe it's just me. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. I fell behind. Seems like Marathon and Riot are the most popular miners. I mean, they're the two biggest market caps. They're the two most institutionally invested. So they are, and they were the first two publicly traded NASDAQ Bitcoin miners. So, for all those reasons, I think they are. Mike is saying, subscribe to highlights. Yes, thank you. Oh, and Mike is saying we now have 15 subscribers. We just drastically changed the percentage of subscribers over at the highlights channel. So thank you, everybody. So I don't know this. Matthew is saying VRA coin will do great due to proof of view technology. And that's $VRA. I don't know anything about that coin. So that is what Matthew says. Gary's saying, yeah, Marathon and Riot are definitely the best known. Would buying a miner right now be considered like a call option on Bitcoin? Higher expected returns and higher risk. I mean, to the extent that it is higher risk and it is higher reward. I mean, and it's only higher reward for the Bitcoin miners that survive. So, that's double the risk. If Bitcoin doesn't do well, but even if it does do well, if it takes too long, some of these guys aren't going to make it to the other side potentially. And so there's all kinds of risk here. So definitely you got to know your risk and you got to have a high risk tolerance to even be looking at these at all. But yeah, but it's better than a call option because remember, call options expire. So, if you're bullish on Bitcoin, but it ends up taking 2 years to get where it's going instead of 1 year, if you bought a call option, it would expire and be worth nothing, potentially, if you bought it inside of that window of time frame versus, if you're buying these stocks and you think Bitcoin's eventually, someday it's going to get where it's going, then you can buy and hold. Let's see. Gary is saying CleanSpark added new miners daily new record of 23.95 coins this morning. Nice. Yeah, I mean, CleanSpark, I think they got, probably they're through with this now, but that storm hit them, and there was a couple of week period that affected, I think, 2.5 exahash of their mining that was all going to come back online incrementally over that period of time. My guess is they're through that period of time. Prior to that, they had mined 22 Bitcoin, and now it looks like they mined just under 24, so they're crushing it. I mean, you guys can check out my top 8 list. I have CleanSpark is very high on that list. Phone book's on. It's like a call since it will probably expire in 6 months. Yeah, if they go out of business, that's right. Do you think 2024 will be a good year? So AMR Samir is just skipping right over 2023 and writing it off and asking if I think 2024 is going to be a good year. But my answer to that is yes. The halving is in 2024. So I think somebody told me right now the target is March 30th, 2024. That number, that date has fluctuated, within a few weeks of itself. But sometime, plus or minus of that day is the halving. So I do think definitely you're going to get before and after. I think you're going to get a move to the upside in Bitcoin. That's my opinion, but I'm bullish on Bitcoin. So Mike is saying absolutely. Looking forward to 2024. Gary said CleanSpark shut down 23rd to the 28th. Oh, thank you, Gary. Riot had the 2.5 exahash that was damaged, he's saying. Not CleanSpark. But CleanSpark did shut down for, it looks like, 5 days. Okay. So that straightens that up. I mean, if CleanSpark goes full guns with all of their machines, they should be mining 20 plus a day. So my target for them in January is 600 plus. But if we find out that due to weather or whatever the case may be, energy prices, that they self-curtailed, then they're not going to hit that. But they should. I mean, and that will be their all-time record. And they should hit their all-time record in January. They were low. Their December number of 464 was a move in the wrong direction, but it was because of the storm, in large part. Darren saying, I check CleanSpark's daily mining report every morning. Yes, they're destroying it. So, nice. So, I mean, that's in my top 4. I'll just tell you that much. And, it's in my top 4 on my list. It's in my top 4 of the Bitcoin miners that I hold. So for me, that's one I like. Isaac's been on the channel a couple of times. He said I think we can get their CEO with Isaac the next time. And I'd like to get them back on the channel because nobody made more moves in 2022 than CleanSpark. So, and their stock didn't get rewarded for it. It got beaten up. Now, it got beat up a little bit less than their competition. So I'm going to go to that chart so you can see this is everybody's performance for the year 2022. So CleanSpark is tied for first place at down 79%. So they still got crushed, but they did outperform. And there's a big difference between down 79% and down 96%. I mean, a big difference. Like, you got to get cut in half and then cut in half again. So it's a big difference. So they are going to move up potentially a little slower than some of their peers that got just taken out. But they got, that's a bad year, down 79, 80%. And that's not from their peak. That's just from January 1st. They're down much more than that from their peak. This was a $40 stock in January of 2021, to put it in perspective. And they're now a $2 stock. So I'll let you guys do the math on that one. Let's see. Mike is saying block height will be having, not date. Right. That date is not set in stone. And depending on, if you watch the difficulty level, you'll see that every one of these blocks takes a different amount of time to mine. They tend to average plus or minus 10 minutes. The goal is exactly 10 minutes. So that's why the difficulty rate changes over time, and that's why they can't tell you the exact day of the halving. But they can tell you, if, unless there's an outlying event, it's going to be sometime in March, April, or May of 2024, unless there's a never before, outlying event in, you know, in the discrepancy of how long it takes to mine the blocks between now and then, because they adjust every 2 weeks to make sure that, you know, they essentially get where they're going. So they're asking, is Bitfarms still my largest holdings? Bitfarms is one of my top 3, and it is my largest one that I'm buying options on. So that's one of my largest that I hold the stock in, and a lot of the options that I play are in Bitfarms because their options got to a point that I thought were remarkable. So I felt like they were giving them away, so I did go heavy, and again, I did get rid of some of those today. I can't, you know, at one point in the day, Bitfarms was up 30%. So I took some profits. And you guys know I don't sell my stock, so the options is the way for me to try to take some profits, and I'm going to be a lot more active in 2023 than I was in 2022. Because I know a lot of you guys found a way to get somewhere near break even in a year that was a nightmare by buying or selling, you know, options, whether it be calls or puts or whatever your strategy is. You know, there was a lot of money to be made last year, and I suspect that's going to be true again today. Barry said, I saw Sue being interviewed. She thinks halving day is set in stone. Well, we will have to have that conversation with Sue the next time she is on, because that is not correct. Let's see. Justin, welcome. Came in late. Have I missed the discussion on Marathon starting to sell their Bitcoin? So what we have decided is one of the members said that they have not confirmed that. So is there someplace we can confirm that, Justin? Justin's saying they sold 41.9 a couple of days ago. They sold 230 this morning. So I did not see that, so I don't know where to verify that. 230 would be, I mean, they really haven't sold, even if they sold 40 or so over the last, they've been hodling 100% now for 2 full years. So 230 would be a big sell for them. They have talked, I mean, management has talked about several times. They have talked about moving to a scenario, something closer to 50-50 between hodling and selling. So, you know, I think they're probably going to wait until I would have thought they would wait for a few things. Number one, until they get to the level of mining that they anticipated, right? They should be mining 1,000 Bitcoin a month or more by now, and they're nowhere near that. So, you know, if you mine 1,000, you can keep 500, sell 500, or you pay for your whole operations and you increase your stash. So that's a great strategy when they get where they're going. I'm not sure if they're there yet, but it sounds like they may have sold 230 this morning. Stephen English said a bloke called Sebastian said something similar on his channel earlier today regarding marathon selling. And then Brown Bowie said that's one of Mara's wallets. So I don't know if they're sold out of their wallet, does that mean that they're selling? I don't know what the answer to that is. So I don't know. It sounds like there's a good possibility they may have sold some today. It sounds like a bloke called Sebastian who he has a channel. I've seen Sebastian. I've seen some of his videos. So he's saying, and I think he usually does his homework. So if he said that, it may very well be true. I have not seen that, so I got to catch up on that one, I suppose. Let's see. Barry is saying, if the bottom is in and Bitcoin makes relatively steady price increase to 100K by the end of 2024, which miners would make the best return? The only thing I could say is I would point for me, and this answer is different for I have a top 8 that I feel comfortable with. I don't know if that's the same as the question you're asking, though, because there are some higher risk You know, I'll tell you, for instance, something that I no longer, I held DigiHost for a long time. I sold them like a year ago because they were just getting bad news from the state of New York and things were not going their way. But to me, DigiHost that's not one I'm holding, but I could see it having a massive, massive move to the upside in the scenario that you just laid out. So there's some of those that, you know, are down further that may come back more. I tend to lean more towards, my investments are more towards the top of the list that you see when you look at my big board here. So, and I do like, and that doesn't mean I don't like any of these stocks here either. I do like some of them, but I also have a list of 6 that I am staying away from. So I made a video on that as well. I think there's 6 that have a liquidity problem that I'm staying away from because to me that's beyond my risk tolerance. So Andrew's saying, for good or bad, I've been buying Riot at this level under $5. I'm with you, Andrew. So we're on the same page on that one. I did the same thing. I did not buy any. I was even just today as things were popping, I even thought, should I grab just a little bit more of a couple? And Riot was one of the ones I was thinking about, but I said, you know, I'm not going to buy Riot up. It was up 15% at that time. It closed up 14% on the day. And it's at $4.89. It did pop over $5 during the day. So, you know, I didn't buy any today, but I bought some last week. So, you know, I don't disagree with you at that on all. Justin Pickering is saying all of the sales, I'm assuming we're back on Marathon here. All of the sales are going to random wallets in big and small amounts, which makes it more likely that Marathon is selling Bitcoin on the market to regular investors. So Justin feels like the way it looks, the way the data looks, is it looks like they're selling Bitcoin. So Andrew, I think I just answered before I read your question. I think I just answered. How do you feel about continuing to buy Riot here? So I would wait for a pullback if it was me. If they do pull back, and there's every chance that that'll happen. Where's the 15? What have I done? Oh, that's why. Let's go back to the 15 minutes. So where did we close? Okay, so this right here was so we closed at around 17,220-ish today. And when I say closed, what I use is what was Bitcoin's price when the markets closed in the US? Because when I'm trying to trade the mining stocks, that's the relationship I need to look at. Because that's the last time the mining stocks were traded. So did we go up from there or down from there? You know, would generally dictate the way the miners would move, although the miners have been all over the place like crazy lately. Let's see. Stephen English is saying some of the amounts being transferred by Mara were 0.01 Bitcoin up to about 4. I don't know what that methodology is. I don't know why you would sell 0.01 Bitcoin if you're... I was like, that's 1/100,000th of their stack. I don't know. I will try to find out the answer. It sounds like there's some consensus that Marathon was selling Bitcoin today, 230 Bitcoin. But I haven't dug into that, so I don't know the answer. I don't have any problem with it if they did. As long as they've paid off their debt, which they have. They had a $50 million line of credit that they took out in October. I don't know what was going on there. They have paid that off since then because it was encumbering almost their entire stack of Bitcoin. So the only thing I would say is they don't want to get into a situation where they're back in that situation where they have to encumber all their Bitcoin. They've reduced that dramatically. So most of their Bitcoin is not securing any line of credit or debt at this point. So if they want to sell some of it, that works for me. And Ty is asking, why did they need to sell Bitcoin when they have $100 million in cash? They did just report that they have $100 million in cash. So that's a good question. I don't know what the answer to that is. And they must have done some stock dilution, because how they were able to pay off their loan and have $100 million in cash in the bank, I mean, to me, the only thing that makes sense is that they did some stock dilution. High volume in Mara tells me that it will outperform in the current rally and pull away from Riot, ? I mean, it's got some catching up to do. If in December, Marathon did so much worse than Riot. However, in the previous rally, back in the August rally, Marathon outperformed everything by a mile. It was not even close. So they were the top performer in the August 2022 rally. So the question is, is that going to happen again this time? I don't know. Riot is still, look at this. They closed at $4.89 and $4.90, which I know actually is just a coincidence and has nothing to do with their market cap. Riot's market cap is still pretty significantly bigger than Marathon's, considering for almost all of 2022, Marathon's market cap was, several $100 million bigger than Riot's, and they flipped that. They flipped that in December, essentially. So Marathon's up to 572. It was under 400. It was in the 300s. And Riot's up to 818. So there's still a pretty significant difference. So I could see Marathon outperforming Riot, even if Riot performs well, just because they've fallen so far behind. And I think it will have to do a lot with their operational updates as well, because they can't, they mined 475 Bitcoin in December. They've added their October, November, and December mining and operations results. They had the identical number of miners active. So they added no miners in that period of time. Now, I do know they have an awful lot more miners than that in their possession. They have 2+ exahash more miners than that are set up and ready to be energized. So it's just a matter, and they probably are by now. It's just a matter of when they're turning them on and off. And is Bitcoin going to get to a price where these guys mine for a whole month? Because that's just my opinion, but I think they're self-curtailing. Let's see. Just a thought, perhaps Mara's strategy going forward could mirror that of Riot. I mean, yeah, Riot for half of 2022, they did this kind of, and it wasn't always exactly 50-50, but they kind of held half, sold half. In December, they sold 600, which was the most they ever sold. But December, they mined 659, which was the most they ever mined. So, Mara now has 731 million. 731 million is spent. Only option, this is Gary, only option is Silvergate loan dilution or selling. Didn't sell in December, so dilution to pay monthly loss and cover revolver loan. Yeah, so I think that's right. I think it looks to me like they're probably selling shares to, and that's what, the Bitcoin, and really, there's only 2 Bitcoin miners that just went pure hodl all the way through 2022, and it was Marathon and Hut 8. Everybody else took a hybrid approach or just sold all their Bitcoin in 2022. Let's see. Debt might be wiped out as it's with Mike Robinson. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about Marathon's debt, their debt, they have, what do you call it? convertible debt that's not due until I think 2026. So that debt may never come due. I think the strike point on that conversion is like $78 or something like that. That may not be exactly right, but yeah, there's a chance that they're never going to pay that debt off and it's going to convert to equity. Yeah, so Gary's saying that's what they borrowed in 2021 and that's what they need to pay back in 2026. And they may not even need to pay it back because it is convertible debt. So if it gets converted, then I guess they will have paid it through dilution. But they won't have to come up with the cash. And even though, you sit here and look at if we go back to Marathon, they're under $5 right now. So it might seem ridiculous to think that those are going to convert at $78, but I think there's a very reasonable chance of that happening. Brown Bowie thinks they're going to wipe out all their debt by the 2024, 2025 anyway, and it's going to be a non-issue. So, if they get to the point where they're at the exahash they're talking about 23.3 exahash. So, they could mine a couple thousand Bitcoin a month at that rate, depending on what the difficulty level is. Mike Robinson said, peace talks, ? I'm not up to date on the peace talks. So you guys got to tell me. I mean, I think we're all hoping that situation ends sooner than later, but I'm a little bit out of the loop on all news. I've been knee deep in looking into a couple of different stocks and whatnot over the weekend. So I took the weekend off from news. Sometimes I do that. I will turn the news off because it's overwhelming. So already the stock market news is enough. Plus the regular news, it's a lot. But I will say go Bills. I grew up in upstate New York, so I'm a Bills fan, so I have to say go Buffalo. They had a good game. They won. They're in. We'll see where they go. Gary's saying they need a 25x to convert, just need to deliver on exahash they have promised, which is more the question. Yeah, I mean that's right. It's a 25x to convert, but if they're at 23.3 exahash and Bitcoin recovers to some reasonable extent, then they're probably going to go past their previous all-time high. They were only at a couple of exahash when they were trading in the $80 range. So, we'll see if and when a recovery comes. Mike Robinson saying the market never crashes before a recession. I mean, for our purposes, the way I'm looking at the market, and it depends where you're invested in the market. If you're in the major indexes, if you're invested, in the SPY, the S&P 500 or the Dow, then yeah, I think there could be a lot more downside on those. But I really do think we've bottomed out on the Bitcoin miners, and that doesn't mean it's up in a straight line from here. But we've already taken the pain. All of the, not everything happens at the same time. I think they're moving towards the bigger stocks now. And that's how that's how they're going to get the NASDAQ to come down. And that's how they're going to get the Dow to come down and the S&P 500. The money is left in what used to be the, safety plays, I think are not going to be so safe in 2023. And I think some of this, the selling of this is played out. I mean, how much more are you going to sell these down? You saw they were down 90 across the board, almost 90 to 99%. So now, do they want to get the last drop of blood from a stone, or do they want to go for the $2 trillion that sits in Apple? All they got to do is get 1% of that, and they've gotten significantly more than taking all the Bitcoin miners down to zero. So that's how I look at it. All right, I've gone long today, but I just wanted to get on and jump on today because this was a good day. So let's just look at the end of the day. So we held our ground. I mean, we're at 17,169. This was a massive, massive update in the miners. So that move, where was the close? Here. So you know, it's just under a 2% move from the close on Friday to the close today, and now to where we are right now, about 1.6% we're up. But from that, you know, because and I think for a lot of reasons. One, there's a lot of shorts calling it quits at this point. They've gotten their money. But these big moves, Bitfarms up 23%, HUT up 17%, Hive up 16%, Riot up 14%, Marathon up 20%, GRI up 37%, Bit Digital up 22%. And GRI and Bit Digital were up much higher than that earlier in the day. DigiHost was up 16%, Core Scientific was up 22%, DMG Blockchain was up 17%. Those are the ones that had double-digit moves. Those are massive, massive moves. I don't know if I said Cypher up 19%. So, very good day across the board. Hopefully you guys had a good day either trading or, you know, whatever the case may be. But I wanted to get on and say hello to everybody on a very positive day. So I hope everybody enjoyed the day today, and thank you. I got 74 likes. I appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. And thanks for joining me on the live stream. And thanks for watching the videos and the comments, etc., etc. And a special thanks to the members. And if you're not a member, you can join by hitting the join button. And we do have a members-only live stream tomorrow when the market closes. So for the members, I will see you then. For everybody else, we'll do our regular Friday live stream after the market closes. So everybody have a good week. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.